and welcome back to the MonsterTalk Report. We're actually doing something a little bit different. We were supposed to film last week, and we actually did, but I didn't get around to it because we were very busy doing a lot of different things that we'll put up on screen. Again, as always, my name is Jackson Morris, and right next to me, Wayne Chiocchi of Vengers Racing, and this week we have got a lot of stuff to talk about, mainly or primarily just results from these last shows. Two weekends we were actually at these shows, and then the other ones were happening in the States. So we're actually going to jump straight into it. We're going to start off with the shows in the States. We're going to go through everything. In Glendale, this was 1 week ago. The racing winner was Gravedigger with Adam Anderson, defeating Travis Murray in Extreme Attitude. Skills was Todd LeDuc in Blue Thunder. Freestyle was Mark List and El Toro Loco. Overall event champion, Black Pearl. Pretty good results. Interesting to see Travis Murray in the final round of racing, but and taking a look at the highlights, there was lots of trucks braking, but the craziest thing, they let them run. They let them continue. Mark List, I believe he broke a tie rod, and they let him go. And Weston Anderson's sun crash, the truck was pretty damaged, so they didn't really let that go because it was already done. Gravedigger had an incident where I think it was like the engine filter or something. It came off the truck mid-run, and the crew chief actually had to run out to the truck.
Yeah. Shout out to Gio Andino.
And he actually ran out and put the engine filter back on, and they let him continue. Man, that run was badass, which is another highlight of it itself. There was great saves, there was good backflips, big air from Todd LeDuc. It looked like a really fun weekend. Is there anything that happened in Glendale that you would like to talk about?
Well, I think the biggest highlight was not only the awesome action with the crazy crashes and whatnot, but the officials letting Mark List run. So he had a broken truck. Like you said, a tie rod was broken on the back of the truck. He ended up winning freestyle, and he was able to fill all of his time because they let him continue. So he was able to keep control of his truck, have a pretty solid 3 other hits with his broken truck. But that just shows maybe they're testing and seeing if the trucks may be able to take this damage and be able to continue freestyle as long as they're a controlled driver and they're not doing anything too crazy. So I'm excited about that. Great action, great highlights, and let's get into the next show.
Absolutely. Just very quickly, though, it's funny you mentioned that because we were predicting, me and Ewan on the MonsterTalk Report, that this was going to be, or I should say Glendale was a test weekend, that they were going to do something, or if they did, they were going to test some stuff out. So while they didn't try a new track out, and maybe they don't do any new tracks next year, definitely I agree with you. I think they are trying out letting trucks continue, mainly in a stadium setting. I think in arenas it's a bit kind of because, it's such a confined space. But we'll see. We'll see how it happens in the States. And, Arlington is actually this weekend for you. You might be going to that.
Yep.
So maybe they do the same sort of thing. But we're actually going to move on to Albuquerque. And there wasn't really much to talk about because it was pretty crazy. Gravedigger actually won a lot of competitions. So taking a look, show 1 completely swept by Adam Anderson and Gravedigger. At show 2, it was much of the same. The only difference was that Travis Murray and Extreme Attitude won racing. Everything else was Gravedigger. At show 3, there was a bit more color and a bit more variety. Gravedigger won racing. Dalton Widener and Jurassic Attack won skills. Dalmatian with Lindsay Reed won donuts, and freestyle and the overall was taken by Adam Anderson in Gravedigger. Show 4 was pretty much exactly show 2. Extreme Attitude won racing, and everything else was won by Gravedigger. Now, we have seen some good highlights. Shout out to Monster Jam Lord, who was there, or Monster Truck Lord. He had put up some great highlights, some good moonwalks. Lindsay Reed had a moment too. It looked like a fun weekend, It was a bit of to spruce up the stuff that I guess has happened with, the Australian shows that we went to and Glendale last weekend. So is there anything that you'd like to talk about from Albuquerque?
Well, it's nice to see that there was an arena show, and I know that Lindsay Reed came into this arena show, her second show back since she left from driving, and she did pretty good. I saw some solid 2-wheel skills, like Kristen Anderson does the reverse wheelies, so she was able to do great maneuvers two-wheel skill-wise. And freestyle was good. I mean, Adam Anderson definitely had some great runs. Team Throttle had some great runs. And they had the majority of their team there. So they really threw it down for the Albuquerque fans. And I was excited to see the action from there. Shout out to Monster Truck Lord and TS Sense 04 Tanner for recording the shows.
Absolutely. Now we move on to the Aussie Tour. This is what we got to see. And I'm just going to go all the way through this very quickly. We had 2 shows in Melbourne, the 2 p.m. show and the 7 p.m. show. At 2 p.m., racing was won by Camden Murphy in the Bakugan Dragonoid, defeated El Toro Loco with Mark List. Skills was also Camden Murphy in Bakugan. Freestyle was Whiplash with Kayla Blood, her first time in this truck. And completely different to what she runs in the States. She takes a freestyle win, and overall was Camden Murphy in the Bakugan Dragonoid. For show 2, Camden, same race, same result. Camden Murphy defeats Armando Castro. However, Armando did actually win skills. Freestyle, in a fiery set of events, won the freestyle competition. Brandon Vinson, overall event champion, Camden Murphy, the Bakugan Dragonoid. We had some great highlights from this show. For me, it was the experience, getting to hang out with you, getting to meet all the drivers, some of which I haven't seen in quite some time, like Camden Murphy. Then it was, I think, 4 years since I had seen him, and to see him debut a new truck, or at least for me at least, it was new to me, was really cool. And then the save, the freestyle from show 2, the crashes, the engine detonations, the backflips, just everything about Melbourne was crazy. Even the seagulls invading the stadium. Seagull Jam, my favorite. It was just a really solid night and even day. I loved it. And we'll actually come back to that in a sec, because I did want to talk about Sydney as well, because that was what just happened. Absolute MUDFEST, and I jinxed it too. I jinxed the pit party.
You sure did.
It was kind of sad, but it's fine because they had all the truck.
You'll include the clip.
It looked like it's gonna rain. Thankfully, though, not at the pit party. I think the pit party will be fine. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Future Wayne here. It's currently raining at the pit party.
They had all the drivers inside, so it was fine. However, racing, Colt Stevens, Max D, his first win since 2020. I don't know if he won in 2020, but, his first competition win in quite some time. Skills was Brandon Vincent and Gravedigger with that amazing moonwalk in the mud. I couldn't believe it. The conditions did not look like it would work for a moonwalk, but he somehow managed to pull it off. And it was
crazy.
Awesome. Freestyle and the overall event championship of all people, very unexpected but very deserved. Cynthia Gauthier in Monster Mutt Dalmatian.
Look at that. I got a Monster Mud hat right here.
Hey!
For Cynthia. All right. Rocking the Mike Wine style for all the OG fans.
You should have worn that at the show.
I should have. I did for a certain part of it.
Missed
opportunity. Melbourne.
Missed opportunity. Now, let's take a look at some highlights. We talked about some from Melbourne. In Sydney, the conditions actually made the show really interesting. Racing was actually packed. Skills was surprisingly really good. I thought all of them would do donuts, and I'd be like,
That's what we both thought.
Actually, I thought they would just do donuts entirely, but they didn't. And freestyle, man, that was so good. There was backflips, there was crazy crashes, there were crazy saves. It was just amazing. So, from your experience, you've never done Melbourne, you've never done Sydney.
I've never done Australia in general.
And that is true, and we got to see some great action, some of which I would say is on par with stuff we've seen in the States. So is there anything that you have to say about these past weekends in Australia?
These past weekends have been mind-blowing, and the fact that it's already been over 2 weeks since I've been here has been crazy. There was so much action that first weekend at Melbourne with all of the great highlights we saw. And I always remember when I'm thinking back at that, Brandon Vincent's crazy, fiery crashes, winning freestyle, Camden Murphy with his insane run show 2, Kayla Blood with her amazing run show 1, and just the whole experience. The pit parties over here are incredible. Anywhere overseas, it's more than 5,000, 10,000 people even. And both of those shows were sold out. Plus, the Seagull Jam just made it even funnier and even better. So it was an amazing experience as Floridian me coming from Florida, escaping a hurricane, traveling to New York to travel to Los Angeles and here.
Oh, God.
It was awesome. I mean, it was worth all of the hours of traveling. So that was a great weekend, and Sydney was incredible too. I don't know if you asked me about that.
Yes, well, it was just, I mean, you were loving it. Even my dad, my dad loves shows, going to me with shows, but he really enjoyed Sydney.
And he's a good cameraman too.
Shout out to Dad for that great footage that we'll put up on screen.
Bobby Parr.
Now, we have 2 upcoming shows. We've talked about one. It is Monster Jam in Arlington, Texas. A great lineup. You should be there.
I will be there. I'm excited to head over there and see a United States show since 2-3 weeks. So I'm very pumped. I haven't been to Arlington in a whole year. And the last time I was there, it was crazy cool.
And is there anything, while you're at it, is there anything about Arlington that you think that we might see? Do you think the breakage thing might continue, or will they try and do something different, maybe a new track or something? Is there anything that you're expecting?
Well, I don't think they'll do a new track there, but just seeing the lineup, I mean, we have Ryan Anderson, Adam Anderson, and all of the drivers we basically had in Glendale, minus a few of them. I'm really excited to see what action we see. Also, I'm excited to see Wasted Nights.
That is true.
That is a very cool independent truck. But Arlington always gives good shows. You know, it's either a hit or a miss. And I don't want to hype it up too much to jinx it, but I'm very excited for Arlington. It is the first venue I was ever at that was out of state for Monster Jam in 2020 when they came back from the pandemic. Because I thought that Monster Jam was done for a while. And thankfully, miraculously, it came back 2021. So that stadium has a lot of value to me. It's a beautiful one. It's an enclosed one. And it's definitely a place that you want to visit in the future, and any fans that live there. So should be some good action. I'm excited.
Absolutely. And about the jinxing thing, you can't jinx it any more than me with the Sydney pit party. But that's been and gone. We don't need to talk about that. But talking about the overseas tour, the next stop is actually in Tampere, Finland, at the Nokia Arena. A very similar lineup: Tristan England, Colt Stevens, Cynthia Armando. The only 2 different people is Earthshaker with Peter Nyman, which will be on the regular chassis, which you got to see in London as well.
Very exciting.
And very interestingly, Tyler Menninger in Gravedigger. I believe that this is his first overseas show. However, this is an arena show, so it's not a stadium. And while none of us really are going to it, are you excited? Is there anything that we might see from this show? Anything that you're predicting or thinking about this show in general?
I'm very excited. I mean, it's one of the first arena shows outside of the United States. Tyler Menninger only did the Calgary, Canada show, but that's not really overseas. It's just an international show, a few 100 miles above the U.S., but I'm excited. That is a really good lineup for an overseas arena. And although it's 6 drivers, I'm sure it's going to be a great show with the amount of people they have there and what drivers they have there. And seeing Peter do a arena, it's been years since I've seen him do that. And in London, when I got to see him, he was doing really good 2-wheel skills. So I'm very excited to see what he can do in the arenas. And everybody else, it's a good lineup. I would actually consider going there, but it'd be a 35-hour flight with connections from here. So I'm going to go to Arlington and enjoy me some stadium action with the Andersons.
Well, that is true, and Peter Nyman has been trying out a lot of stoppies and 2-wheel skills stuff, I think he's been trying it in some sort of compound thing near him. But we might see some cool stuff, and some drivers, especially Colt Stevens, getting a confidence boost winning in Australia after 2 fairly average shows in Melbourne. Of course, he did really good, but just not what he wanted. But he gets a big confidence boost in Sydney heading into Tampere, Finland. Unfortunately, that is the end of today's MonsterTalk Report. There might be more stuff with Wayne. I am also going to announce that there is a Monster Jam Australian Tour vlog. I can't English. But there is a vlog coming out. It is me meeting him for the first time and everything. It's going to be really good. It's coming out in just a few days. And we'll be back to regular scheduled programming this week. And there are some other surprises too. You guys are not going to want to miss out. So thank you everyone so much for watching. Are we ready to do this?
Yes.
Remember, it's we. We will.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And we'll see you all soon with some more Monster Truck content. Thanks for watching.